Have you ever wondered what angels really look like? Get ready to explore a new world of heavenly beings. Forget the image of creatures with harps and white wings. We are entering a world where cherubs have 4 faces and fiery seraphim guard the throne of God. This not only surprises, but is almost unheard of. And what if I told you that angels play a more significant role in heavenly battles and divine protection than just playing music on clouds? How would you react? Prepare yourself, as we are about to uncover secrets that may challenge everything you've ever believed about the heavenly world, promising to change your view of the spiritual realm forever. Most people have a misconception about heavenly beings, at least according to the Bible. Today, we will focus on the heavenly beings as accurately depicted in the Bible. But first, let's understand how most of us have a misguided image of these divine entities. When thinking of heavenly beings, many people picture angels as human-like figures with large feathered wings, glowing halos, and sometimes holding harps or trumpets. These images, deeply rooted in culture and religion, often stem from Renaissance art, literature, and later popular culture. Art and literature have played a significant role in shaping our understanding of heavenly beings. From the paintings of Raphael and Belly to the verses of John Milton in Paradise Lost, angels have been humanized to become more accessible while retaining their supernatural essence. This humanization reflects humanity's desire to comprehend the divine, to bridge the gap between the temporal world and eternity. Furthermore, movies, television shows, and Christmas imagery, particularly in the West, have reinforced this image, often diluting the profound spiritual meaning of these beings into fantastical characters or ornaments. Heavenly beings are not cute creatures who spend their days playing harps. They are beings of unimaginable power. Unlike Cupid, they are real spiritual entities with real power. The fact that these divine beings can stand in the presence of God and see His face reveals their strength. We, in our temporary bodies and with all our sins, cannot stand before God and see His face, for the Word of God says that no one can see God and live. However, angels can see God. Listen to how the angel Gabriel introduces himself in Luke 1 verse 19. The angel answered, "I am Gabriel. I stand in the presence of God, and I have been sent to speak to you and to tell you this good news." Gabriel stands in the presence of God. If we were to see the face of God in all His holiness and glory, our souls would leave our bodies faster than we can blink. The angel who killed 185,000 Assyrian soldiers in one night. The angel who shut the mouths of lions. The angel who rolled away the stone from Jesus' tomb. The angel who guided Philip to meet the Ethiopian eunuch in a divine appointment. The angel who freed Peter from Herod's prison. These charitable beings are sent by God as messengers, protectors, and guides for humanity. However, cherubims stand out under the broad umbrella of heavenly beings. They are not ordinary angels, not even archangels. They are unique, a distinct kind among heavenly beings, different from individual angels. The Bible gives us detailed descriptions of cherubim far removed from the common image of angels. The most vivid description of cherubim is found in the book of Ezekiel. In Ezekiel 1 verses 5 to 11, it says, "And from the midst of it came the likeness of 4 living creatures. And this was their appearance. They had a human likeness, but each had 4 faces, and each of them had 4 wings. Their legs were straight, and the soles of their feet were like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like burnished bronze. Under their wings on their 4 sides they had human hands, and the 4 had their faces and their wings thus. Their wings touched one another. Each one of them went straight forward, without turning as they went. As for the likeness of their faces, each had a human face. The 4 had the face of a lion on the right side, the face of an ox on the left side, and the face of an eagle." And in Ezekiel 10 verses 20 to 22, "These were the living creatures I had seen beneath the God of Israel by the Chebar River, and I knew they were cherubim. Each had 4 faces and 4 wings. and under their wings was what looked like human hands. Their faces had the same appearance as those I had seen by the Kebar River. Each one went straight ahead. These passages show us that cherubim are vastly different from the common image of angels. They are not gentle beings with feathered wings and halos, but powerful, multifaceted creatures with multiple faces and wings, a symbol that challenges our understanding and causes us to ponder the diversity and power of the heavenly realm. In Ezekiel's vision, the cherubim are described as having 4 faces: a human face, a lion's face, an ox's face, and an eagle's face. Here, in the presence of this divine entity, we encounter one of the most fascinating aspects of the creature. It possesses the faces of earthly beings. We know that cherubim were created before the world because in the book of Job, we see that the sons of God, who are angels, rejoiced when God created the earth. It is clear to us that angels existed before the creation of the earth, and therefore before the creation of all living creatures on earth. Simply put, this means they predate the beings they resemble. Isn't this fascinating? After studying this area of the Bible, I have never looked at humans, lions, oxen, and eagles in the same way again. This point may not surprise everyone, but when I understood that this heavenly being had 4 faces and predated all these 4 creatures, I was utterly astonished. So, we can agree that cherubim are unique beings. They bear the likeness of creatures on earth that had not yet been created when they themselves were created. This is why I describe these magnificent heavenly beings as the most mysterious creatures, because they clearly have a connection to earth, but the Bible does not reveal much information about them. Imagine the vision of this extraordinary being before your eyes. The cherubim, as described in the passages from Ezekiel, with 4 faces looking at you: a human face, a lion's face, an ox's face, and an eagle's face, all united in one creature. Its shape is like that of a human, yet heavenly, adorned with 4 wings that seem to carry it through the skies effortlessly. Straight legs and feet like burnished bronze reveal a majestic presence, while beneath those powerful wings, human hands are revealed, blending the divine and the earthly in an unimaginable way. Can you imagine the mix of emotions flooding you as you behold this heavenly being? Fear and awe intertwined as you find yourself both terrified and moved by its presence. The realization that you are standing before a creature of such divine significance humbles your soul, for cherubim are not ordinary beings. They guard the presence of the Almighty. Cherubim are a specific type of heavenly being mentioned in the Bible, often associated with angels and considered a higher rank of angels. However, it is important to note that cherubim and angels are not necessarily interchangeable terms, as not all angels are described as cherubim in the Bible. Cherubim are tasked with guarding the presence of God and serving in heavenly worship, closely linked to God's throne. On the other hand, angels, in a broader sense, are spiritual beings who serve as God's messengers and carry out various tasks according to God's will. The term angel is more widely used to describe different ranks and functions of heavenly beings, including messengers, protectors, and guides. Some angels are named in the Bible, such as Michael and Gabriel, and have specific roles in certain biblical events. Thus, while cherubim can be considered a specific type of angel, not all angels are necessarily cherubim. Cherubim have distinct characteristics and roles that set them apart from other heavenly beings mentioned in the Bible. In the spiritual world, there are many heavenly beings that we cannot fully comprehend. We know some of them, like Seraphim, fiery beings who stand in the presence of God and radiate holiness. There are also archangels, powerful messengers of God who bring important messages to us. In the book of Revelation, we see majestic horses in heaven, with a rider triumphing on a white horse, representing victory and justice. Can you imagine how magnificent that vision would be? These heavenly beings are immensely beautiful and powerful. But take a moment to reflect. Although the Bible speaks of certain heavenly beings, there is so much we do not know about the spiritual realm. Have you ever wondered about other heavenly beings that the Bible does not mention? Can you imagine the wonders we will see in heaven? Isaiah 6 verses 1-7 gives us a vision of divine majesty and holiness, where seraphim continually worship, declaring God's holiness, a testament to his glory that fills the earth. Isaiah's vision and his interaction with the seraphim, who purified his lips with a burning coal, reveal the depth of divine mercy and the transformation that comes from encountering the divine. The nature and essence of seraphim provide us with a profound insight into the heavenly world, revealing aspects of God's character and his interaction with humanity. The term seraphim means burning or fiery, not only representing their radiant appearance, but also symbolizing the fervor and intensity of their worship. This zeal for worship is an expression of a pure heart's response to the incomparable holiness and majesty of the Almighty. Every corner of creation, from galaxies spanning the vast universe to the intricate design of the human soul, emanates from the profound brilliance of the Creator. Therefore, it is only fitting that every angel, every heavenly being, every corner of the universe, every atom and molecule reverberates with songs of worship to the one who created them. God, with unmatched majesty, wonder, and glory, not only created the world, he infused it with life, purpose, and wonder. A creator so great deserves our deepest reverence and unceasing worship. And here we see that, in the heavenly council, countless beings recognize and respond to this divine mandate. God is worthy of worship. He deserves to be worshipped. Amidst the heavenly hosts we have never seen, seraphim stand out not merely as spectators, but as active participants in the eternal symphony of praise. These radiant beings, with their fiery nature, embody fervent and pure worship. Their name, implying fiery zeal, signals the intensity of their devotion. It is as if they have been forged from the very flames of worship, embodying a profound and pure love that can only be described as blazing. If these magnificent beings, so close to God's throne, are consumed with a desire to worship Him, how much more should we, who have received His grace and love, be drawn to praise and honor such a great Creator? In the presence of this inspiring devotion, may our hearts be ignited with the same fervor to worship and honor the Lord of all creation. In Isaiah's encounter, one striking feature of these beings is their 6 wings. 2 wings are used to cover their faces, an act not out of fear, but out of deep reverence and respect in the presence of the Holy One. Even the most holy angels cover their faces, signifying their awareness of God's incomparable glory. Another pair of wings is used to cover their feet. In biblical times, feet were often considered the most defiled part of the body, as they were in constant contact with the ground and the dirt of the earth. The act of seraphim covering their feet can be seen as a symbolic gesture of humility, signifying a desire not to present anything unclean before God. The remaining wings serve a functional purpose, flying. This not only signifies mobility, but also readiness. Seraphim are always prepared, always waiting on God, ready to respond instantly to His commands or declarations. Their continuous flight around the throne is a testament to their vigilant and unceasing service. But it is not just their form and function that capture attention. The resounding declaration of the seraphim, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty. The whole earth is full of His glory," speaks volumes about their primary mission. This is not an ordinary statement, but a profound and resounding acknowledgement of a fundamental truth. The threefold repetition of the word holy is not merely a literary device. In Jewish culture, repetition emphasizes supreme importance. By declaring God's holiness 3 times, the seraphim amplify God's supreme holiness, a holiness that is incomparable and unmatchable. Furthermore, the impact of their declaration is tangibly felt, with the foundations of the temple shaking. This reaction is not just a physical manifestation, but also a spiritual expression. It reminds us that true worship, stemming from a sincere acknowledgement of God's nature, has the power to move not just hearts, but also the very essence of our surroundings. The temple filled with smoke in response to their voices further emphasizes the weightiness of God's glory. Throughout the Bible, smoke often represents the overwhelming presence of God, a powerful reminder of His majesty and holiness permeating everything. Just as with the Israelites at Mount Sinai, here too, the smoke symbolizes the tangible divine presence, a witness to God's active interaction with His creation. Continuous worship is the essence of the seraphim. Their entire existence revolves around recognizing, venerating, and declaring God's majesty. Through them, we gain insight into the heart of true worship. It is not about rituals or routines, but a heartfelt and fervent response to the Creator of all creation. As we delve deeper into the attributes and roles of the seraphim, we are led to reflect on our own response to God. God's holiness and the seraphim's primary mission of worship and declaration of God's greatness make us ask ourselves, what can we learn from these heavenly beings about our relationship with the Creator? A fundamental lesson the seraphim teach us is the essence of true worship. Their worship is not a periodic activity. It is easy to confine worship to specific moments, places, or events. However, observing the seraphim, we are reminded that worship is not just an action but an attitude of the heart, a continuous acknowledgement of God's sovereignty in every moment of our existence. Furthermore, the humility of the seraphim, despite their majesty and proximity to God, challenges our human tendencies. We often seek recognition or desire to elevate our status, but these heavenly beings, with all their splendor, exemplify the ultimate humility before divine majesty. They remind us that true greatness lies in recognizing our place before God and serving Him with a humble heart. The purifying act of the seraphim, as seen in Isaiah's experience, is also a profound reflection of God's mercy. Just as a seraph purified Isaiah's lips to prepare him for his prophetic mission, God, in His mercy, purifies and prepares us for His special callings. The seraphim become instruments of God's sanctifying power, demonstrating that when God calls, He also equips and refines. The fiery appearance of the seraphim, resonating with their name, also brings symbolic layers for the faithful. Fire in the Bible often represents purification and transformation. For the faithful, this becomes a metaphor for the transformative power of God's presence in our lives. As we draw closer to God, we begin a process of sanctification, where the impurities in our lives are cleansed, shaping us more and more into the likeness of Christ. Another prominent metaphor we see is the seraphim's unceasing proclamation of God's holiness. Holiness, by its nature, is set apart from the mundane or ordinary. When something is described as holy, it carries with it a uniqueness, a distinction that elevates it above all else. The seraphim, with their fervent cry of "Holy, holy, holy," not only acknowledge God's uniqueness but also emphasize a divine attribute that permeates everything He is and does: His transcendent holiness. The Bible highlights God's love, His mercy, His justice, and many other attributes, but none of these can be fully understood or appreciated without first grasping God's holiness. His love is holy love, not just a fleeting affection or emotion that can change. His justice is rooted in His holiness, ensuring that it is never arbitrary but always right and pure. Every aspect of God's character, every action He takes, is deeply intertwined with His holiness. This is the foundation upon which all other attributes stand. The seraphim, who dwell in God's direct presence, understand this profoundly. Their proclamation is a reminder that our conception of God must always begin with His holiness. It shapes how we approach Him, how we worship Him, and how we live in response to Him. The Bible tells us, "Be holy, because I am holy." This call is not just for moral purity, but also for dedicating ourselves to God's purpose, aligning our lives with His character, and striving to reflect His image in the world. God's holiness serves as a beacon, illuminating the darkness of our world and the shadows in our hearts. It reveals the areas of our lives that do not align with His character, leading us to repentance and transformation. Moreover, as we absorb the significance of God's holiness, it changes how we perceive sin. Sin is not merely a violation of a rule. It is an offense against the nature of a holy God. And, as the Seraphim demonstrate, understanding God's holiness produces a deep sense of reverence and awe. This redefines our understanding of worship. It becomes less about habit and more about a heartfelt response to a God whose nature is incomparable and unmatchable. To truly know God is to know Him in His holiness. As we delve deeper into the Bible, pray, engage in worship, and live our daily lives, may the cry of the seraphim resonate in our souls, drawing us closer to the heart of a holy God and reshaping our lives in the light of His profound holiness. As believers, we are called to bear witness to God's love and grace. Just as the seraphim ceaselessly proclaim God's glory in the heavenly realms, we are tasked with spreading the good news of God's love and salvation on earth. Ultimately, the unwavering focus of the seraphim on God underscores the importance of setting our sights on eternity rather than on temporary things. In a world full of distractions, the seraphim exemplify what it means to have a single-minded focus on God. They do not waver, they are not distracted, they do not lose their purpose. This steadfastness serves as an inspiration for believers to maintain steadfast faith, unwavering in the face of challenges and temptations of the world. In conclusion, although the seraphim occupy a unique position, they offer us a valuable perspective on God's nature and how we should relate to Him. May we be inspired by their ceaseless worship and profound understanding of God's holiness, so that our lives may reflect this eternal truth and draw us ever closer to the divine heart. As we draw nearer to Him, we undergo a process of sanctification, where the impurities in our lives are cleansed, shaping us more and more into the likeness of Christ. Another prominent metaphor we see is the seraphim's unceasing proclamation of God's holiness. Holiness, by its nature, is set apart from the mundane or ordinary. When something is described as holy, it carries with it a uniqueness, a distinction that elevates it above all else. The seraphim, with their fervent cry of "Holy, holy, holy," not only acknowledge God's uniqueness but also emphasize a divine attribute that permeates everything He is and does: His transcendent holiness. The Bible highlights God's love, His mercy, His justice, and many other attributes, but none of these can be fully understood or appreciated without first grasping God's holiness. His love is holy love, not just a fleeting affection or emotion that can change. His justice is rooted in His holiness, ensuring that it is never arbitrary but always right and pure. Every aspect of God's character, every action He takes, is deeply intertwined with His holiness. This is the foundation upon which all other attributes stand. The seraphim, who dwell in God's direct presence, understand this profoundly. Their proclamation is a reminder that our conception of God must always begin with His holiness. It shapes how we approach Him, how we worship Him, and how we live in response to Him. The Bible tells us, "Be holy, because I am holy." This call is not just for moral purity, but also for dedicating ourselves to God's purpose, aligning our lives with His character, and striving to reflect His image in the world. God's holiness serves as a beacon, illuminating the darkness of our world and the shadows in our hearts. It reveals the areas of our lives that do not align with His character, leading us to repentance and transformation. Moreover, as we absorb the significance of God's holiness, it changes how we perceive sin. Sin is not merely a violation of a rule. It is an offense against the nature of a holy God. And, as the seraphim demonstrate, understanding God's holiness produces a deep sense of reverence and awe. This redefines our understanding of worship. It becomes less about habit and more about a heartfelt response to a God whose nature is incomparable and unmatchable. To truly know God is to know Him in His holiness. As we delve deeper into the Bible, pray, engage in worship, and live our daily lives, may the cry of the seraphim resonate in our souls, drawing us closer to the heart of a holy God and reshaping our lives in the light of His profound holiness. As believers, we are called to bear witness to God's love and grace. Just as the seraphim ceaselessly proclaim God's glory in the heavenly realms, we are tasked with spreading the good news of God's love and salvation on earth. Ultimately, the unwavering focus of the seraphim on God underscores the importance of setting our sights on eternity rather than on temporary things. In a world full of distractions, the seraphim exemplify what it means to have a single-minded focus on God. They do not waver, they are not distracted, they do not lose their purpose. This steadfastness serves as an inspiration for believers to maintain steadfast faith, unwavering in the face of challenges and temptations of the world. Although seraphim are heavenly beings far removed from our everyday experiences, their existence and role in the spiritual realm offer valuable lessons for us. Their unceasing worship and proclamation of God's holiness remind us that we should seek a deeper understanding and a closer relationship with the Almighty. They show us the value of unwavering devotion, profound humility, and our crucial role as messengers of God's sanctifying grace. Speaking of angels, these fascinating beings are a fundamental part of the spiritual world, playing a significant role both in the Bible and in Christian faith. As we explore the universe of angels, we gain a deeper understanding of God's divine plan for our lives and appreciate the divine beings working behind the scenes, protecting and guiding us. However, there is often some confusion about angels, especially when ancient Jewish texts, such as the Book of Enoch, are mixed with information found in the Bible. To clarify, let's highlight some of the angels mentioned both in the Book of Enoch and the Bible, and then focus specifically on the angels mentioned in biblical canon. Among the most famous angels, we have Michael, known in both Jewish and Christian traditions as a warrior protector, and Gabriel, described as one of the archangels tasked with delivering divine messages to humans. Raphael, associated with healing, and Uriel, associated with wisdom and guidance, are other examples of archangels whose stories inspire us and teach us about the multifaceted nature of God. In the biblical canon, only 4 angels are named: Michael, the archangel; Gabriel, God's messenger; Lucifer, the fallen one; and Abaddon, also known as Apollyon, the destroyer. Gabriel and Michael stand out in particular because of their significant roles in the spiritual realm. Gabriel is a majestic and glorious figure mentioned in both the Old and New Testaments and is considered one of the most prominent angels. His presence is a reminder of God's power and majesty, working through heavenly messengers to carry out His divine plan. In some Christian circles, Gabriel is viewed as an archangel, though the Bible never explicitly refers to him this way. Gabriel first appears in the Bible in the book of Daniel in the Old Testament. At that time, Daniel was living in Babylon, where the Jews were in exile. In the 8th chapter of Daniel, he had a vision of a ram with 2 horns and a goat with a single horn, but did not understand the meaning of the vision and prayed for an explanation. In response to Daniel's prayer, Gabriel appeared and provided him with the interpretation of the vision. Gabriel explained that the ram with 2 horns represented the kings of Media and Persia, while the goat with a single horn represented the king of Greece. Gabriel went on to describe how the king of Greece would rise up and conquer the Persian Empire. This encounter with Gabriel emphasized his role as a messenger of God, tasked with delivering important messages to his people. Gabriel's appearance to Daniel highlighted the significance of the vision and its meaning for the future of Israel, showing that Gabriel is a magnificent and majestic being. Throughout the Bible, Gabriel is associated with delivering divine messages to God's people, setting the tone for his important role in the spiritual realm. Gabriel appears again in the book of Daniel, specifically in chapter 9, in response to another prayer of Daniel. In this encounter, Gabriel provided Daniel with insight and understanding, also mentioning the Anointed One, a term used for the Messiah. Later, in the New Testament, in the book of Luke, Gabriel visited Mary to announce that she had been chosen by God to bear his son, Jesus Christ, demonstrating that God is always active in our lives, sometimes sending his messengers to deliver important messages. History teaches us that we should be open and receptive to God's messages, even if they challenge our understanding or expectations. God cares about his people and pays attention to us, not as a distant God, but as a God who is involved and engaged in the lives of his people. Gabriel, by calling Daniel, Zechariah, and Mary by name, shows that God knows each of us intimately. As we reflect on Gabriel's appearances, we are reminded of God's closeness and his direct intervention in our lives, bringing messages of hope, guidance, and revelation of his divine plan. May we embrace these stories as reminders of God's unwavering love and care for us, inspiring us to live with faith and openness to the divine. One thing you need to know is that he knows where you are in life. Never forget that. And Gabriel's mission reveals this great truth to us. In Daniel 10 verse 13, the archangel Michael is described as one of the chief princes. This phrase suggests that if Michael is one of the chief princes, there are other chief princes that the Bible has not mentioned. This is a reasonable conclusion. Unlike other angels, whose identities are hidden in the Old and New Testaments, Michael's name is mentioned nearly every time he appears in the Bible. The book of Revelation describes Michael as a warrior angel. He led the battle against Satan and his angels in heaven and won the battle against them. Revelation 12 verses 7 to 9 says, "Then war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him." Every time Michael is mentioned in the Bible, he is fighting, battling, or confronting evil spirits and demonic powers. He protects the things of God and God's people. This is clearly seen in the book of Daniel. In the books of the Bible, both Michael and Gabriel are mentioned, but only in the book of Daniel are they both quoted. Daniel 10 verses 7 to 13 describes a profound vision that Daniel had, where he was the only one who saw it, while those who were with him did not see it, but were seized with great fear and fled. Daniel was left alone and saw this great vision, losing all his strength. But then a hand touched him, lifting him up. The angel said to him, "O Daniel, man greatly loved, understand the words that I speak to you, and stand upright, for now I have been sent to you." And when he had spoken this word to me, I stood up trembling. The angel continued, explaining that from the first day Daniel set his heart to understand and humbled himself before God. His words were heard. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood him for 21 days until Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help him. This reveals that angels have different ranks and roles. This passage suggests that there are powerful spiritual beings representing nations, like the prince of the kingdom of Persia, indicating that there are spiritual beings with authority or dominion, which aligns with the New Testament idea that angelic ranks are organized and have a hierarchical system. This confrontation between spiritual beings reveals that our world is influenced by spiritual battles taking place in dimensions we do not see. Michael, in particular, has a direct connection to the nation of Israel and will play a prominent role in the end times, protecting Israel during the Great Tribulation. He is not just a warrior. He has a special mission to protect Israel, proving to be a leader among the angels, leading them in battles against evil. Although Michael is majestic and heroic, it is important to remember that he is a creature of God, a created being, and should not be worshipped. He is an example of the power and organization of the spiritual world, but like all creatures, he serves a purpose defined by God. This story gives us a glimpse into the complexity of the spiritual world and the ongoing battles that have a direct impact on the physical world and human history. Understanding the roles of angels, like Michael and Gabriel, helps us gain a deeper appreciation for divine intervention in human history and the ongoing struggle between good and evil. He is not equal to God. Therefore, he should not be worshipped. Every time people attempt to bow down and worship angels in the Bible, they are forbidden by the angels. Angels are ministering spirits. Sometimes, we don't even realize what God is doing for us. In Psalm 91 verses 1-9, it says that whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. We declare about the Lord that He is our refuge and fortress, our God in whom we trust. He will surely save us from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover us with His feathers, and under His wings we will find refuge. His faithfulness will be our shield and rampart. We will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. 1,000 may fall at our side, 10,000 at our right hand, but it will not come near us. Only with our eyes will we observe and see the punishment of the wicked. For we have made the Lord our refuge, the Most High our dwelling. As believers, we know that God is always with us, protecting and guiding us through the trials of life. But sometimes we don't even realize what God is doing for us. We may be going through a difficult situation or facing a dangerous circumstance and come out unharmed, without realizing that it was God who protected us. Today, I want to talk to you about God's protection. The Bible tells us that God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. When we trust in Him, we can be sure that He will protect and keep us safe from all harm. Psalm 91 verses 11-12 assures us that He will command His angels concerning us to guard us in all our ways. They will lift us up in their hands, so that we will not strike our foot against a stone. But sometimes, we don't even realize that God is protecting us. We might be driving and not realize that we narrowly avoided a serious accident. Or we might be returning home from work without realizing that we were protected from a potential attack. We may be going through a difficult situation without realizing that God is working behind the scenes to protect and guide us. That's why it's important to trust in God's protection, even when we don't see it. We may not understand why certain things happen or why we go through certain trials, but we can be confident that God is always working for our good, even when we don't realize it. You and I know that God has angels, and the Bible tells us that He commands these angels to take care of us. There are angels assigned to protect us in all our ways. Wherever we go, God's angels are watching over us, whether we are on our way to work, returning home, going to the store, or anywhere else. There is at least one angel watching over you. To this world, you may not be important. To this world, you may be insignificant. To this world, you may just be a number or another body. But to God, you are important enough that He assigns His angels to take care of you. God has given you an assignment to take care of you. You are important. You are very important to God. Sometimes, we don't even realize what God is doing for us. In Christianity, angels play an important role in our lives and our families, as well as in all aspects of our existence. As you listen to me, there may be at least one angel present in your home. Isn't that amazing? Psalm 91 verses 11-12 reminds us that God will command His angels concerning us, to guard us in all our ways. They will lift us up in their hands, so that we will not strike our foot against a stone. Often, we underestimate the angels mentioned in this part of the Bible and don't think about the work they do to keep us safe. We should really thank God for sending angels to protect us. The president has the Secret Service to protect him, the best people taking care of him. But you, on the other hand, have secret angels watching over you, protecting you. There are times when God sends angels on special missions. God sent angels to Lot, Abraham's nephew, who had parted ways and gone to Sodom and Gomorrah. The story I am going to tell today is about the power of faith and divine protection, elements that have endured for centuries and remain relevant today. Our journey begins in the ancient city of Sodom, a place marked by such wickedness that God decided to intervene drastically. But even in this situation of judgment, Mercy was present in the figure of Lot and his family. One night, two angels visited Sodom and found Lot sitting at the city gate. Upon seeing them, Lot greeted them with great respect and hospitality, unaware of how important this encounter would be. These heavenly messengers had one mission: to lead Lot and his family out of the city before it was destroyed. The story in the Bible, specifically in Genesis 19, reveals the urgency and divine mercy in rescuing Lot and his family from the impending disaster. This story makes us reflect on how often we are protected from dangers without even realizing it. Just as the angels guided Lot, there is faith that angels surround us, protecting and intervening on our behalf. In our daily lives, we may not see angels ascending and descending on a heavenly ladder as Jacob did, but the message is clear. We are always protected under the watchful eye of divine forces. Jesus, in Matthew 18 verse 10, reminds us of the importance of not despising the little ones among us, for their angels have direct access to God's presence. This reinforces the idea that each of us has special protection, a guardian who always accompanies us and protects us from all evil. The truth is, we often go through difficulties and challenges without realizing the extent of divine protection over our lives. In Isaiah 43 verse 2, there is a powerful promise assuring us that, even when passing through deep waters or fire, we will not be burned or drown. God is always with us in every moment, protecting and guiding us through every obstacle. Romans 8 verse 28 reiterates this promise, assuring us that God works in all circumstances for the good of those who love Him. This is a comforting truth, especially in times when we feel alone or challenged by life's difficulties. So, if you are going through a difficult time, remember that you are not alone. God's presence is always with you, protecting and strengthening you. God invites us to find refuge and strength in Him, to lift our hearts to His presence, trusting that He deeply cares for us, as taught in 1 Peter 5 verse 7. Therefore, I encourage you to draw near to God, seek His presence sincerely. Find a quiet place to talk to Him. Open your heart, share your worries and dreams. God is always ready to listen, comfort, and strengthen us. In His presence, we can find peace, comfort, and the assurance that, no matter what we face, we are not alone. God, with His infinite love and unceasing protection, is always with us.